studio? Well, sort of. Right now it's the crafting studio or the Cricut studio. I have a project that I am in desperate need of finishing tonight because I am on a deadline. Um, what I'm doing is I have a project that my sister was needing me to do, and it's basically like a big wall calendar for her office. So I need to put transfer tape on all these little numbers and get this in the mail to her tomorrow. So I thought that I would pop on here and kind of help myself, and talk to you all while I am getting this done, so that I can get this in the mail to her. So I thought that I would come on here and just kind of like tell you all a little story time about why I started posting to YouTube and why I stopped back in January, because I posted a cross stitch floss tube in January, and then life happened. So I just thought that I would come on here and you guys can craft with me. You can listen to me ramble on about what's been going on. So anyways, I started posting floss tubes for cross stitching. So for those of my crochet folk, floss tube is for cross stitching. It's basically just like what us crocheters do, but with cross stitch and just kind of like showing your works in progress and all of that fun stuff. Anyways, so I started posting those, and then I kind of disappeared. My intention was to kind of keep up with it on a semi-regular basis, at least, like, if not every week, but every other week. And yeah, that did not happen. So what happened was I posted my last floss tube, and then in February, my youngest daughter got sick. It was Valentine's Day. It was the first day that she was home. And it was, I mean, we thought it was just stomach bug, normal kid stuff, which is fine. I mean, kids get sick, but, anyways, ended up being flu B. And so she got sick first and then passed it on. I can't remember, honestly, the order. Passed it on to somebody, and it ended up going through our entire house. It was awful. I mean, I was barely at work. My husband was barely at work. We were trying to take turns staying home with the kids and being sick ourselves. And it was not a good time at all. It was awful, horrible. I don't wish it on anybody, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. And then, so shortly after that, I was at work one day, and we were working at one of our satellite offices, so it wasn't even like my normal office. I was like I don't know, like 30 minutes to an hour away from, I was 30 minutes away from my normal office. And I'm really sorry if this is loud. Okay, so yeah, I was about 30 minutes away from my normal office, and the night before I went to work, I was up around 11 or so, and my stomach was kind of hurting, and I was like, okay, well, you know, everybody's been sick, it's probably just stress, it's probably fine. But I mean, I just like couldn't really find a comfortable position. It was hurting on my lower left side is where it was. And so I just couldn't really find a comfortable position to sleep. But ended up getting a few hours and went to work just like I normally would. And, you know, my stomach was still hurting, just wasn't really feeling very good. But I kept telling myself, oh, it's stress. It's stress. It's fine. Like, it'll pass. It'll go away. It did not go away. It did not go away. It was, it was about maybe like 10 o'clock in the morning. I was at work and my stomach just had this horrendous pain on that lower left side. It was awful. And I kept telling myself, it'll pass, it'll go away. It got to the point where I was like tears streaming down my face, pain. So, and this was after, mind you, this was after the kids being sick and our family being sick for 3 weeks. 3 weeks we dealt with flu B. Okay? And this was after that. Like the week after that. Or maybe even a couple days. It was really close. And like I said, I barely went to work for those 3 weeks. My husband barely went to work. Like, we took turns staying home and being sick. And then for me to then be sick with this horrendous pain on immediately after that, that's why I kept telling myself, it's gonna pass. It'll be fine. It's just stress. And, yeah, it did not. It was not fine. It did not pass. And so I'm sitting there. I've got my tears streaming down my face because I am in so much pain. And, I'm having to, like, tell my coworkers, go work on my patients for me, please. Like, cover for me. I need to breathe. I need to get through this. And they did, because they are great coworkers. They are, honestly, some of the most wonderful people I know. And, we pick each other up whenever somebody's having a hard time, which is amazing. You don't get many workplaces that are like that. So they're covering for me. I've got tears streaming down my face. I'm in so much pain. And finally, I'm like, I've got to call my husband to come get me. It's turning into a health emergency situation. So I call him, and he must, God love him. He must have heard it in my voice or something, because that man dropped everything that he was doing immediately like, he must have heard it in my voice, because he dropped everything he was doing immediately. He said, well, let me call you back, and he literally called me back 2 minutes later and said he was on his way. And so, mind you, he works an hour away from where I was. So it took him an hour to get to me. And so he ended up getting there at like around 11 or so to pick me up and take me to the emergency room. So, you know, we debated about which emergency room to go to. Do we go to our normal one, which is an hour and a half away, or do we go to the one that's a little bit closer? And we chose to go to the one that's a little bit closer, not a normal one. And that, you know, ended up not being a great choice. If I had to do it over, I would probably go to our normal one, a little bit further away, because it would have been worth it. Anyways, so we get there, get checked in. You know, it's the emergency room, so I'm expecting to be there all night. So, but the way that this emergency room was set up is they are so busy that they save their beds for the people coming by ambulance. And the people who come in, as long as you're not like dying and in need of a bed, they sit you in a chair in the hallway, which they had me in a wheelchair because I could barely walk because I was in so much pain. So I was sitting in a wheelchair in the hallway, and they started an IV. They gave me pain meds and all that, and did a CT scan, and it came back that I had diverticulitis, which I've had before. I kind of expected that. I wasn't shocked. But I was at this emergency room for 6 hours in a wheelchair in the hallway. Not in a private room, not in a bed. It was awful. And my husband had to leave to get the kids off the bus. So, I mean, for a lot of the time, I was there by myself in a wheelchair in the hallway. Not fun. It was a horrible experience. Okay, this might be loud again, sorry. Just get through this. Okay. So, scan comes back, I have diverticulitis. Great, expected that. Give me some antibiotics. But the last time I had diverticulitis, I also had a fluid collection, and so they put me on an IV antibiotic right away. They gave me 1 dose in the emergency room, and this was at our normal emergency room the first time I had diverticulitis. They gave me an IV antibiotic just to kind of get me started, and got through that no problem. So this time at this other hospital, they prescribed me Augmentin, and so I started that night, and the next day, I was still sick. I didn't plan on going back to work until the next week, just to kind of give myself a rest and have the weekend to kind of get over this that was going on, because the flare happened on a Wednesday. So, and I only work 4 days a week, so Monday through Thursday. So I start the augmentin. Next day I'm feeling okay, not the greatest, obviously still sick and still in pain because obviously the antibiotics don't make you feel better immediately. They take a day or two to work. So then Friday comes around and I'm trying desperately to convince myself that I feel better, and actually I made my husband take me to a cross stitch store. But when I was in that store, I was super dizzy and I really wasn't feeling very good, but I was trying to convince myself that I was feeling fine. And so then me and him went out to lunch and kind of had a day. And then Saturday rolls around. I slept pretty much the rest of the day that Friday. So then Saturday rolls around and I am really not feeling very good. Really not feeling very good. I had a fever. I was dizzy. And all of my discharge paperwork from the emergency room said if you have fever, you're dizzy, your condition worsens, which it was getting worse, come back. So I called my primary doctor and spoke to his physician assistant, and she recommended to me that, she said that I need to go back. I need to get IV antibiotics because the augmentin's not working, obviously. So she recommended to me to go back to the same emergency room because they already had the scan from my previous stint there just a few days before. So I kind of hemmed and hawed, and I didn't really want to go, and not to that one anyways, but I went back to that one. And I asked her, I said, can you please call ahead for me, because the last time they just had me in a wheelchair in the hallway, and see if they can actually give me a bed this time. Because I'm really, really sick. I don't want to be sitting in a wheelchair in the hallway with other people. And so she said yes. She called ahead for me. And they didn't give me a bed. What they did do, though, is give me a recliner. And let me backtrack a little bit, actually. When you're sitting in the ER in a wheelchair in the hallway, you don't have a ton of nurse oversight. But whenever they put me in the recliner, they had a little room that was filled with recliners, little curtains between each chair, and was actually being overseen by a nurse, and vitals being checked every hour, and everything. And they started me on IV antibiotics there in the ER, and then they actually ended up admitting me for 2 days to the hospital to get IV antibiotics, and there was 2 different IV antibiotics that I was on. One was once a day, I had to do it once every 24 hours, and then the other one was twice a day. I had to do it once every 12 hours. So I had to get it like at 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, and then the other one was like at 9 a.m. So I did, needless to say, I did not get much sleep while I was in the hospital. And, you know, most of my nurses were great. You know, there were some that were good, but I wish they would have done a couple things differently, which one of those things being, it was one of my night nurses. My first night nurse was phenomenal. She had a little flashlight that she carried with her, so to make sure that she was like giving me the right stuff and everything, so she didn't have to turn the overhead light on. And my second night nurse came in to check my vitals, like, and then give me medicine and stuff, and she would actually turn the overhead light on every time she came in. And she came in like 3 or 4 times during the night. So that night I really didn't get much sleep. And you know, during this whole thing, I was sleeping so much unless I was like forcefully being woken up. But anyways, I got out of the hospital, and when I got out of the hospital, I was sleeping 20 hours a day. I was so sick. And it was not fun. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry here. Honestly, probably one of the worst experiences of my life. It was not fun at all. I don't wish it on my worst enemy, to be perfectly honest. Oh my god. I told myself I wasn't going to cry on YouTube, but guess I'm crying on YouTube. Oh well. But the IV antibiotics ended up kicking in and working, and then the antibiotic they switched me to go home with. I was on 2 different ones. I take one like 3 times a day and one twice a day. I was taking medicine constantly because I was on the 2 different antibiotics. I was on, which one was like every 8 hours, one was every 12. And so I was on 2 different antibiotics. I had pain medicine for if I needed that. I had this medicine that helps with stomach cramps if I needed that. I had Zofran if I needed that. It was a lot, and it was a lot mentally, and remember I said at the beginning that it was right after my whole family having flu B and missing a lot of work because of that. So then we had financial strain on top of that, which I want to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not asking for any money. I don't need any money. I'm good. I'm good now. But it was tough. It was tough financially. It was tough mentally, emotionally, everything, all the things. It was not a fun time. So I had fully intended on keeping up with my floss tubes and everything. And I wasn't able to film because everybody in my house was sick and I was sick and was recovering from the diverticulitis, and it was a bad time. So that is how my 2024 has been going. Now, I will say this. I love cross stitching and I love doing the floss tubes, but crochet really is my first love. I've been crocheting for 10 years, and I haven't done a ton of crocheting this last year because I've been doing a lot of cross stitching, and I tend to go in spurts of cross stitching a lot, crocheting a lot, cross stitching a lot, crocheting a lot. So I kind of picked up cross stitch in May of last year, so it's been about a year, and I've been kind of hyper focused on that. But hold on. Sorry. But yeah, crochet really is my first love. So, what you can expect from my channel is content that tends to go in spurts. And I mean, I'm going to try and do cross stitching content and crocheting content, and then obviously, like, this is kind of a one-off because this is just something that I need to get done, and if I'm talking to somebody, even just to a camera and to the people of YouTube, it tends to go a little bit faster. So my content will probably go in spurts because that's how I roll. And if I'm cross-stitching a lot, you're going to see a lot of cross-stitching content. If I'm crocheting a lot, you're going to see a lot of crocheting content. Right now I'm crocheting a lot. You're going to see that. Whatever I'm doing, that's what you're going to see. So it's mainly going to be fiber arts. Like I said, this is kind of a one-off. I need to get this done. And I had a story time for you. So, you know, maybe my story can help somebody who might be going through the same thing or something similar as to what I went through. Or just, you know, make somebody who's going through some health stuff not feel so alone. Because let me tell you, it was brutal. And there was times I definitely felt alone. And, you know, sleeping 20 hours a day, that's not me. I mean, I have insomnia. I don't sleep. I don't sleep but maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. And, so, yeah. I hope that my story can help somebody else. I hope me being vulnerable and telling what happened can help somebody else. Because, yeah, you know, even if my story helps one person, me going through that was worth it. It was. So, oh man. hope everybody is having a wonderful night, day, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you whenever you're watching this. Even if it's next year in 2025, I hope all you future people are having a wonderful time, whatever it is you're doing. I hope your life is going well. You know, if it's not, just know that's okay. It'll pass. This too shall pass. That's my motto. Because everything passes in time. One of my favorite sayings, one of my absolute favorite sayings is no stage in life is permanent. And that's how life works. You have good times, you have bad times, you have okay years, you have rough years, you have really great years. That's just how life rolls. You know, you kind of just have to take life as it comes at you and roll with the punches. So, anyways, that's my big, long, sad, horrible story about why I posted in January and said that I would be posting semi-regularly and never came back until, I don't know, what month is it? April? Almost May. So yeah. Anyways, I am going to finish up the rest of these off camera. Looks like I have just a few, not too many more, like maybe 10 more to do. So, hope everyone's having a great day. We'll see you all later. Bye.